The Temple by H.P. Lovecraft. Tablet 3. Clancy seemed very nervous and drank heavily. It was decided that, wäre mein life as long as possible, using the large stock of provisions and chemical supply of oxygen, none of which had suffered from the crazy antics of those Schweinhoundsemen. Our compasses, DFG and other delicate instruments were ruined, so that henceforth our only reckoning would be guesswork, based on our watches, the calendar, and our apparent drift, as judged by any objects we might spy through the portholes or from the conning tower. Fortunately, we had storage batteries, still capable of long use, both for interior lighting and for the searchlight. We often cast a beam around the ship, but saw only dolphins swimming parallel to our on drifting course. I was scientifically interested in those dolphins. For those ordinary Delphinus delphis is a cetacean mammal, unable to subsist without air. I watched one of the swimmers closely for 2 hours, and did not see him alter his submerged condition. With the passage of time, Clancy and I decided that we were still drifting south, meanwhile sinking deeper and deeper. We noted the marine fauna and flora, and read much on the subject in the books I had carried with me for spare moments. I could not help observing, however, the inferior scientific knowledge of my companion. His mind was not present, but given to imaginings and speculations which have no value. The fact of our coming death affected him curiously, and he would frequently pray in remorse over the men, women, and children we had sent to the bottom, forgetting that all things are noble, which serve the German state. After a time he became noticeably unbalanced, gazing for hours at his ivory image, and weaving fanciful stories of the lost and forgotten things under the sea. Sometimes, as a psychological experiment, I would lead him on in these wanderings, and listen to his endless poetical quotations and tales of sunken ships. I was very sorry for him, for I disliked to see a German suffer, but he was not a good man to die with. For myself, I was proud, knowing how the Vaterland would revere my memory, and how my sons would be told to be men like me. On August 9, we espied the ocean floor, and sent a powerful beam from the searchlight over it. It was a vast undulating plain, mostly covered with seaweed, and strewn with the shells of small mollusks. Here and there were slimy objects of puzzling contour, draped with weeds and encrusted with barnacles, which Clancy declared must be ancient ships lying in their graves. He was puzzled by one thing, a peak of solid matter, protruding above the ocean bed, nearly 4 feet at its apex, about 2 feet thick, with flat sides and smooth upper surfaces, which made it a very obtuse angle. I called the peak a bit of outcropping rock, but Clancy thought he saw carvings on it. After a while he began to shudder, and turned away from the scene as if frightened. Yet could give no explanation. Save that he was overcome with the vastness, darkness, remoteness, antiquity, and mystery of the oceanic abysses. His mind was tired, but I am always a German, and was quick to notice 2 things. That the U-29 was standing the deep sea pressure splendidly, and that the peculiar dolphins were still about us, even at a depth, where the existence of high organisms is considered impossible by most naturalists. That I had previously overestimated our depth, I was sure, but nonetheless, we must still be deep enough to make these phenomena remarkable. Over southward speed, escaped by the ocean floor, was about as I had estimated, from the organisms past at higher levels. It was at 3:15 p.m., August 12, that poor Clancy went holly mad. He had been in the conning tower, using the searchlight, wen I saw him bound into the library compartment, where I sat reading. And his faces, at once, betrayed him. I will repeat here what he said, underlining the words he emphasized. Ja, he is calling, he is calling. I hear him. We must go. As Clancy spoke, he took his ivory image from the table, pocketed it, and setzt my arm in an effort to drag me up the companion-way, to the deck. In one moment, I understood that he meant to open the hatch, and plunge with me into the water outside. A vagary of suicidal and homicidal mania, for which I was scarcely prepared. As I hung back and attempted to sove him, he grew more violent, saying, "Come now, do not wait until later. It is better to repent and be forgiven than to die and be condemned." Then I tried the opposite of the soothing plan, and told him he was mad, pitifully demented, but he was unmoved and cried, "If I am mad, it is mercy. My the gods, pity the man, who, in his callousness, can remain sein to the hideous end. Come and be mad, whilst he still calls with mercy." This outburst seemed to relieve a pressure in his brain, for as he finished, he grew much milder, asking me to let him depart alone if I would not accompany him. My course at once became clear. He was a German, but only a Rhinelander and a commoner, and he was now a potentially dangerous madman. By complying with his suicidal request, I could immediately free myself from one who was no longer a companion, but a menace. I asked him to give me the ivory image before he went, but this request brought from him such uncanny laughter, that I did not repeat it. Then I asked him if he wished to leave any keepsake or lock of hair for his family in Germany, in case I should be rescued. But again, he gave me that strange laugh. So, as he climbed the ladder, I went to the levers, and allowing proper time intervals, operated the machinery which sent him to his death. After I saw that he was no longer in the boat, I threw the circlet around the water, in an effort to obtain a last glimpse of him. Since I wished to ascertain whether the water pressure would flatten him, as it theoretically should, or whether the body would be unaffected, like those extraordinary dolphins. I did not, however, succeed in finding my light companion, for the dolphins were most thickly and obscuringly up out the conning tower. That evening, I regretted that I had not taken the ivory image surreptitiously from poor Clancy's pocket as he left, for the memory of it fascinated me. I could not forget the youthful, beautiful head with its leafy crown, so I am not by nature an artist. I was also sorry that I had no one with whom to converse. Clancy, so not my mental equal, was much better than no one. I did not sleep well that night, and wondered exactly when the end would come. Surely, I had little enough chance of rescue. The next day, I ascended to the conning tower and commenced the customary circlet explorations. Northward, the view was much the same as it had been, also for since we had sight at the bottom. But I perceived that the drifting of the U-29 was less rapid. As I swung the beam around to the south, I noticed that the ocean flow at feller way in Amag declivity, and bore curiously regular blocks of stone in certain places, disposed as if in accord with definite patterns. The boat did not advance diesen to match the greater ocean depth, so I was soon forced to adjust the circlet to cast a sharply downward beam. Owing to the abruptness of the change, a wire was disconnected, which necessitated a delay of many minutes for repairs. But at length the light streamed on again, flooding the marine valley below me. I am not given to emotion of any kind, but my amazement was very great, when I saw what the light revealed in that electrical glow. And yet, as one reared in the best culture of Prussia, schult nothavbeen am meist, for Geologie en Tradition alike, tell us of great transpositions, in oceanic and continental areas. What I saw, fos an extended, and elaborate, array of ruined edifices, all of magnificent, so unclassified Architektur, and in wahre Ersteiches of Preservation. Most appear to be of marble, gleaming whitely in the rise of the Zerchlit, and the general plan, was of a large city at the bottom of a narrow valley, with numerous isolated temples, and villas, on sea steep slopes up of. Roofs were fallen, and columns were broken, but there still remained an air of immemorially, ancient, splendor, which nothing could efface. Confronted at last, with the Atlantis I had formerly deemed largely a myth, I was the most eager of explorers. At the bottom of that valley, a river once had flowed. For as I examined the scene more closely, I beheld the remains of stone and marble bridges, and seewalls, and terraces, and embankments, once verdant and beautiful. In my enthusiasm, I became nearly as idiotic and sentimental as poor Clenze, and was verehrter day in noticing that the southward current had ceased at last, allowing the U-29 to settle slowly down upon the sunken city as an aeroplane settles upon a town of the upper earth. I was slow in realizing that the school of unusual dolphins had vanished.